Broadcasting live from the CNN-IBN headquarters in New Delhi with Rajdeep Sardesai.
Good evening, hello and welcome to India at 9. As always, the news, the newsmakers, the talking points are here on your primetime destination. Tonight marks 1 month since Delhi shamed the nation. Our big story tonight, CNN-IBN exposes how public transport and autos in particular flout rules and remain a danger to women's safety in the national capital. We will raise the big question tonight. 1 month after the Delhi gang rape, has the national capital become any safer for women? That's coming up in our big talking point tonight. That's not all. In our other headlines tonight, both Pakistan and India attempt to de-escalate tensions along the line of control, tell troops to observe the ceasefire. This on a day the army releases pictures of landmines made in Pakistan but found on this side of the line of control.
We see 3 incidents cross the LOC and we see warmongering which puts the last 60 years, actively back into our memories.
Pakistan's Foreign Minister Hina Rabbani Khan accuses India's top leadership of warmongering, says the Indo-Pak dialogue process should not stop. Pakistan's Prime Minister Raza Ashraf cannot be arrested. His advisor tells CNN-IBN, accuses the judiciary of colluding with anti-government cleric Tairul Qadri. His interview will come up later tonight on India at 9. Former Haryana Chief Minister Om Prakash Chautala and his son MLA son are arrested. A Delhi court finds them guilty in the teachers' recruitment scam. Dramatic scenes in London. A helicopter crashes into a crane on top of a building in the heart of the city, close to British intelligence agency MI6 headquarters. 2 people are dead. And Japan grounds the entire fleet of the grand Boeing 787 Dreamliners after a technical scare. Will India's DGCA now follow suit? And we'll have special guests tonight. They include actor Sharmila Tagore on the new book Pataudi, the Nawab of Cricket. And we'll also be joined by Fareed Zakaria on Pakistan's crisis. But first tonight, it's been a month exactly since a brutal gang rape of a 23-year-old on a bus in the national capital shocked the entire country, forcing the government to commit to making Delhi safer for women. But how much has really changed on the ground? IBN reporters went across the capital to find out if the public transport system, especially autos, have become any more responsive to passengers. The answer, I'm afraid, wasn't what we had hoped for.
A month after the gruesome gang rape of a 23-year-old brought people out in the streets and the administration down on its knees, nothing seems to have changed in the national capital. To test the tall promises of the Delhi government, we send an undercover reporter to the same Saket Mall from where the Delhi Braveheart and her friend had tried to board an auto to Dwarka, failing which they were forced to get off at Munirka and onto a White Line bus.
Noida chaloge? Noida? Noida chaloge kya? Noida chaloge kya bhaiya? Noida.
Our reporter then tries another destination to check if the auto drivers would agree.
Phase 3 तक तो जाते होंगे?
हाँ, उधर से मिल जाएंगे, phase 2 तक मिल जाएंगे। आप ऑटो करना है ना, नोएडा के लिए, तो आप उस मार्ग ले जाओ, यहाँ तो कोई ऑटो नहीं है। सबसे बढ़िया मेट्रो बढ़िया।
After haggling for almost an hour, an auto driver finally agrees but quotes an exorbitant price.
250 रुपए।
मतलब में आउट एरिया है क्या? कोई सवारी नहीं मिलेगी।
है तो दिल्ली में ही।
Out area na.
Our undercover reporter then scouts another location for public transport. This time he lands up at Delhi's business hub, Connaught Place, and starts looking for an auto for Mayur Vihar.
हाँ, कितना लोगे? 120 मीटर चल लो।
Along the way, we discover that the auto driver takes the longest route possible to extract extra money from our reporter. Our next stop is the busy Old Delhi railway station, from where we try to board an auto for ITO.
ITO?
कितने पैसे?
ITO कहाँ उतरोगे?
ITO पे ये पड़ता है ट्रांसको का ऑफिस, बिजली डिपार्टमेंट का ऑफिस। कितने पैसे? ITO कितना? 150 रुपए।
The distance between Old Delhi railway station and Bal Bhavan at ITO is about 6 kilometers, and the auto fare for this distance is 45 rupees, as opposed to the 150 which the auto driver demands. CNN-IBN's ground check reveals that no lessons have been learnt after the fateful night of 16th December. The only thing that the Delhi Traffic Police has done to discipline auto drivers is publish ads in newspapers with helpline numbers, but response, as always, is slow and inadequate. With Puneet Tripathi in New Delhi, Simi Pasha.
Now that's not all. The government had promised to have home guards present on buses, women police officers in PCRs, and action against vehicles with tinted glasses. But CNN-IBN's Meenakshi Upreti finds that the implementation is uneven and the feeling of being unsafe persists among women in the national capital.
In the wake of massive public outrage over the brutal Delhi gang rape, the government had announced a slew of measures to instill confidence in the public. But travelling on the streets of Delhi exactly a month later, I realised that not much has changed on the ground. One of the measures announced by the Delhi government to ensure the safety of women was using the services of home guards in late-night buses.
एक महीने बाद भी वही सब हो रहा है, उससे ज़्यादा हो रहा है, हमें तो ज़्यादा नज़र आ रहा है, बसों में वही भीड़ छेड़छाड़ वही सब हो रहा है, हमें बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, इसका तो कोई भी सलूशन नहीं निकल पा रहा है.
I am at the same stretch where this ghastly incident took place. We started off from Munirka bus stand, from where we travelled around 5 kilometers, but there wasn't even one police barricade in sight. But on our way back, travelling through Delhi, we found that the number of barricades and police checking on the streets has certainly increased in some areas. But despite that, women say they don't feel safe.
From my office to Nehru Place, it is like an empty road on the way. So I don't feel safe at all. And it is like government have to evolve some system, strong system, that women should feel safe. We are not safe at all.
Just a week ago, we highlighted how autos still routinely refuse to take women passengers. Even the women's helpline wasn't working smoothly, with 181 passing me from number to number. Even a month after the horrific gang rape incident, I as a woman don't feel safe travelling on the roads of Delhi. Just hope that the police and the government are listening. With Vijay Satish Kumar in New Delhi, Meenakshi Upreti.
And it's not just about Delhi. Let's get reactions from across India. How safe do women feel when travelling in public transport? Listen in for reactions.
We haven't been aware of what is happening till date, only because of that incident. We know what's happening around, and people are becoming more secure, and they're more, outspoken, and they're coming out of what they were before.
Till now, they should have been punished. The girl has suffered a lot, she has died. Nothing has happened yet.
The kind of action that the girls and the youth are looking out for, I'm sorry, the demands haven't been met yet.
जिसे करना means शर्म तो किसी को भी नहीं आती. जिसे करनी है छेड़खानी means बीमार है जो लोग वो अभी भी है.
As a girl living in Delhi, I think my status is more vulnerable. I feel vulnerable.
For the safety of women, I think we still have a long way to go, because it's not so much about the law as it is about how you feel, because in India we still are very heavily patriarchal.
Okay, the big question that we're raising, 1 month after the Delhi gang rape, has the national capital become any safer than for women? Joining me now on our special panel and our talking point tonight, Dr. Kiran Bedi, former IPS officer, joins me. Tajender Singh Luthra, Joint Commissioner here in the Delhi Police Northern Region, joins me. Also joining me, Mihira Sood. She's a lawyer who's been talking on television on these issues. Also with us is Vinay Tiwari, Managing Editor here at CNN-IBN, who's been tracking Delhi for years, and Ruchira Sen, Vice President of the Students' Federation of India at JNU, joins us. Remember, JNU were among the most active student groups after what happened last month. But before I come to the panel, let's just tell you what exactly were the various measures promised for women. How many of them have translated into reality? Take a look. The promise was made, a complete overhaul of the public transport system. The reality, it's still not happened. Promise, tinted glasses would be removed. Reality, it's still not fully done. Promise home guards on all night buses. Reality, 85 buses today have home guards. Promise monitoring of auto drivers and their functioning. Reality, as our story showed there, has still not happened. Promise accountability of police officers. Reality, it's only partly done. The promise of new laws on rape and review of Juvenile Justice Act. Reality, it's a work in progress. The promise, more women in police stations. The reality, it's still not been delivered upon. The promise, a new women's helpline. The reality, there's a delayed response on the helpline. So clearly it's a mixed record in this 1 month. But Tajender, Luthra of the Delhi police, let's first start with the auto menace that our story today exposes. The story shows, sir, that in Delhi, and this is probably true of any major city in the country, most autos will charge either double or triple after 9 p.m. or will not agree to come on a particular route, even though it is against the law. And no one, it seems, can do anything about it. Is the police helpless, sir, in such situations?
Rajdeep, not at all. Police is not at all helpless. After this incident, the way we promised, we have taken many measures. We have identified dark stretches. We have identified lonely stretches. We have increased our presence on the road. We have increased our visibility, and we have intensified our patrolling.
So I'm giving you, sir, you're not answering my simple question. The auto menace. Let's first tackle the simple. It's often the simple measures that create the problem. If you remember, the Delhi Braveheart would not have suffered the way she did if an auto driver had agreed to take her and her friend to Dwarka. No auto driver was willing to take her. And as our story shows, that hasn't changed, sir, in the last month either.
Rajdeep, I must tell you, there are systems which have a duality of control.
Yes.
We are doing our best in reining in the auto system, but there are other departments which have to work in tandem with, you know, the canvas of women's safety is very large, and police definitely occupies an important place on this canvas.
Right.
But mistakenly, what we have been doing is, we think the police only occupies the whole space.
So you're saying the transport department should be equally accountable.
I'm not blaming any department. This is not a blame game. I'm only trying to tell you that we are taking intensified action against these autos and tinted glasses. But the problem is enormous in the sense there are 40 lakh vehicles on the roads, and action against 40 lakh vehicles is not possible in 1 or 2 days.
Okay.
I would like to tell you that our action in the last 30 days against autos and tinted glasses have gone many fold.
Okay, so you're saying that there has been an action taken in the last month. Now that's possible, Dr. Kiran Bedi, because when I drive home today, I see many more barricades on the road than I ever saw. The fear is that, you know, this may cause traffic jams, but it's a limited operation. Surely barricades on the roads are not the answer to ensure greater women's safety. Beyond that, as we've given a simple reason like auto menace, auto drivers still refuse or charge triple if you want to go in the night. Do you believe that there is a way in which there can be a complete crackdown? As Mr. Luthra says, it can't happen in a month, but is there a sustained campaign that can be done to improve the quality of public transport?
Tajender is right to an extent. When the deficit was so high in policing and in many other departments of the Delhi government, which includes the transport, which includes the municipal services, the deficit, whatever he's done, is still a drop in the ocean, or the drops are visible. Tajender is right. Work has been done, and it's certainly policing is not in isolation. It needs a whole gardening together of the entire Delhi government. Do you see Delhi government electrified? Do we see the transport department electrified? Do we see the civil defense electrified? Do we see the municipal services ensuring that there's better lighting? What the city needed today was not just the Delhi police commissioner. It needed the chief minister. It needed the lieutenant governor, all working in tandem. I think that is what, and even the education department. Why have we not garnered the parents teachers association to say, take care of your boys?
Okay.
How do you make your boys sensitive? I think that's what's happened. We haven't come together. We've not synergized. What the city needed to create a huge impact, they left it only to the police. Police had a lot of deficit in areas to clear. While we are under pressure to deliver, are similar other departments also under pressure? I've seen not a single civil defense. Right. Isn't Transport Department equally responsible for refusal and TSR management and tinted glasses in transport? Why are they not electrified and engineered like this? That's a question. I think the synergy is missing.
You know, I think you make a very good point. In fact, let me tell you, we asked a Transport Department official to come on the program. Each one of them refused. The Transport Minister didn't want to come. The Secretary Transport didn't want to come. But you make a valid point that don't just blame the police here. There are other government agencies and other individuals and associations who also have to contribute. For a moment, Vinay Tiwari, let's just focus once again on public transport, because as our story shows, it remains a major concern. There are buses, as you've pointed out in the past, on programs who are managed by local mafias. They often are used by unlicensed drivers. There have been reports that not all tinted glasses have been removed from the buses. Is managing this public transport system, whether it's autos, whether it is buses, a major problem, and where is the bottleneck?
Absolutely, it is a major problem, Rajdeep, and I think we must concede that we are terrible implementers. If you read in September 2012, this year, the Delhi High Court issued an order which actually makes it mandatory for every single auto in Delhi to not only have a GPRS system installed, but to also give receipts to customers who actually sit and use that auto. Now, that sounds utopian, almost utopian in the way the city works, really, right? If you look at the multi-city authorities, the checking of the meter responsibility lies with the Weights and Measures Department of Delhi government.
Right.
The Delhi police is responsible only for implementing the Motor Vehicles Act. They can only challan an auto for violation of the MV Act and nothing else. The Transport Department is actually the license and permit provider for an auto. None of these agencies either work in tandem or put the kind of pressure that one should put while granting these permits and ensuring that those permit conditions are to be met by
the government says 85 night buses introduced with a home guard, and the process to install GPS in buses has begun. Do you believe that that's the good first step that they've taken at least?
That is a good first step.
But should every bus that travels by night compulsorily have guards, not just 85 routes?
Not just that. As I said, we are excellent at planning, terrible at implementation. DMITS is now a nodal agency in Delhi which is supposed to come up with an integrated transport solution for Delhi. DMITS is supposed to actually provide tracking guard facilities for all public transport vehicles, not just buses, not just private buses, not just autos. Every single transport vehicle in Delhi should have this facility as per DMITS' own charter.
Let me bring you in because, you know, the JNU students had protested, I remember, particularly even on this stretch, where unfortunately the Delhi Braveheart was gang raped, that the streets were dark, they were poorly lit. I know this is a major complaint. Has anything happened in this last month in terms of street lighting, in terms of making that area look a little bit more safer for women at night? The very stretch on which this girl was gang raped?
I don't think that anybody feels any safer on that stretch particularly. And there have been various spaces on that.
The street lights still don't work?
No.
The street lights, for example, still don't work.
I believe you've had a story here, saying exactly that there have been problems in terms of street lighting. Now they put police barricades, but I don't see
There's basically police barricades. You know, Meera, the sense I get is that we're all waiting for this Justice Verma report. We're all waiting for the laws to change, as if miraculously the laws, once they change, you know, women will feel safer. The problem, it seems, first has to start with basic infrastructure. Do you believe that laws are only the last step, in a sense? And the first step must come here with the various departments working towards improving infrastructure for women, making transport, for example, safer for women.
2 points there, Rajdeep. First of all, when we say laws, we don't mean just section 375 and 376 of the IPC, that is definition of rape, punishment for rape. When we say laws, we mean the entire gamut of it, which includes then reining in your transport department, punishment for corruption in the transport department and all other government agencies, etc. So when we say laws, we mean full implementation of rules. And no, I don't think that the law can be the last step. I think these two need to go and work together and cooperate rather than compete. But I also think that if we are going to wait for everything else to get its act together before the law takes a step forward, then we'll never get anywhere.
Let me ask you two young girls, before I go back to the policeman, that do you feel safer today in Delhi than you did 1 month ago? As a student, do you feel safer on your campus? Yes or no?
My campus is another factor.
But out on the streets?
Out on the streets, I don't feel safe.
You don't feel safer?
My campus has a democratic ethos, and we've got this gender sensitizing committee. And in fact, we've been demanding to the Justice Verma Commission that we should have the Vishaka guidelines implemented in all other universities.
In all universities. Do you feel safer today?
See, I think all of us, we are privileged enough to inhabit very safe spaces by and large. But do I think anything has changed other than the fact that there are barricades every 500 meters with some bored cop looking in the other direction and 45-minute long traffic jams? No, I don't think anything has changed. In fact, Rajdeep, just last night, a friend of mine was telling me 2 foreigner friends of his were pulled up by cops driving home in the middle of the night, and the cops took them to an ATM and extorted 30,000 rupees from them. Okay,
Given that, Mr. Luthra, it is possible. The Delhi police obviously has got a terrible name after what has happened, and as you say at one level, don't just blame us. But please tell me what has happened in the last month to sensitize the police. Write down, it won't happen in a month, but has the process even started to sensitize the policeman, the beat constable in particular, when it comes to these issues?
Rajdeep, I'm not going to believe that policemen can take somebody to ATM. In my 22 years of service, this has never happened that policemen would take somebody forcibly to ATM and extort money from the ATM. This is completely unbelievable.
You believe that what this girl is saying, what Meera is saying is a lie?
No,
Meera, do you have those 2 people? Are they willing to come on camera and tell what?
Yes, they are.
They are willing to come on camera. We'll get them on camera and do a story on them. But Mr. Luthra, the bigger question, sensitizing the constable, has his approach changed to women's safety in any way?
I would like to assure you, in the last 1 month, we have gone overboard in sensitizing our constabulary. We have told them, you may have a different mindset at home. You may have a different value set system at home. But when you come to the police station, you need to behave like a professional police officer. You have to go by the 4 corners of the law, and you have to go by the complaint given by the woman. And another important point, Rajdeep, in this context, I would like to make, in the last 1 month, when we are auditing everything, we must also audit. In the last 1 month, we have been hearing statements given by different people from different walks of life. And we have been ridiculing those statements as sexist statements. But I'm afraid there is a large section of population which has this mindset. And these people are not aliens. They are our own citizens. How we plan to take them on board? And unless we take these people on board, we cannot move forward about women's safety.
Okay, so what, Kiran Bedi, the point being made perhaps is that the constable on the street comes from the same society and reflects the mindsets of the people around him. Do you believe that actually increases the need for greater gender sensitization of the policeman? That again, we are talking of the person at the bottom of the chain, but the person whom women perhaps have to deal with when they leave their home at 9 p.m.
Yes, of course, Rajdeep, what requires is a daily brainwashing. It is almost a crisis situation where it's like a daily hammer. It's like a hammer. It's hammering it daily till it really gets used to it. So I think a daily hammer, a collective daily hammer individually at the grassroots level collectively is the need. But I want to come to another point. I think what has happened in this response is there are 2 ways of changing things. One is, first of all, optimum utilization of what you have, and secondly, take on more which is needed. Now, what Justice Verma is going to give you is going to come over a period. I think what is required is a synergy in the Delhi government, the Department of Education, the Department of Electrification, the Department of Transport, the police. I think all of them needed to have come together to first of all ensure that the best is emerged, best is done from existing resources. Are we utilizing the best? I see so many areas which are still absent. They're still absent.
Give me one. Give me one critical area. Give me one critical area. One of the areas apart from public transport which we've been raising is street lighting. Do you believe that is a critical area again which requires so that public spaces are made both democratic and safer?
Rajdeep, I've been saying from last two weeks plus is where is the thousands of youth civil defense? They were trained for social defense. Why have they not been deployed? Why haven't they been deployed in the buses? Who is keeping back civil defense which is within the Chief Minister's control? At her discretion, she could have had a bhagidari in police. The civil defense is her department. It reports to, it's a part of Delhi government. Why have those youth boys and girls not being deployed in the buses and the bus stops? Why haven't they done bhagidari with the local police? Secondly, where are the NCC cadets? They can be in uniform from the Department of Education. Where are the NSS cadets? Why can't they be involved in social work, in traveling in the buses in the evenings as groups? I tell you, the current situation required a surge. It required a total visibility. I think a surge in visibility to retrieve and gain confidence has been missing. That's why whatever the Delhi police will do will still look like a trickle because others have not joined in.
You know, in fact, the point that some would make, Vinay, is that because the cameras have switched their gaze of Jantar Mantar, the urgency has gone. The sense is that chalta hai, business as usual, to use the Prime Minister's words in another context. It is business as usual in a sense for a number of people. Yes, the police perhaps is a little bit more conscious, a few more barricades have come, but that is clearly not enough. A few more barricades on the streets of Delhi cannot be a sign of urgency. A Justice Verma committee or a Usha Mehra committee cannot be a sign of urgency of changing the system.
Yes, and I think, Rajdeep, the problem is the discourse sometimes in India is sometimes far too macro and far too big sounding. You know, we like to use revolutionary words when you're looking for a solution to a problem. Typically, after 2611, we had those kind of huge sounding terms. The trick really is in very micro implementation. The micro implementation problems are very simple. Has the LG and the CM sat down and met in the last 1 month to figure out the interdepartmental issues? No. Has the Public Works Department been asked to come up with a plan to ensure that public spaces, which is an ignored area in terms of safety for citizens, has that action plan been started off? No. Have we figured out and done an audit of the number of CCTV cameras that are needed and the ones which are already there, are they working or not? The answer is no. The problem is, while we love to talk big and we love to use big, very revolutionary words when the anger is there on the street, the moment the anger is reduced, we just don't realize that it's the nitty-gritty implementation which is really going to solve this problem in the long term. There is no other way to it.
In fact, helplines, CCTV cameras become critical. The CCTV cameras, we are told, which was promised to fast-track, the fast-track project for CCTV cameras has been stuck in red tape. 11 women PCR vans have been launched, but you believe that's clearly not enough?
It's absolutely not enough. For a city of the size of Delhi, you just cannot police city with even the entire fleet of PCR. You need to triple that strength. But I think I would for once agree with what Tajender, Luthra and Kiran they are saying. Far too much discourse centers around police in terms of securing a city. You need other departments and agencies to understand everything gets involved in making a city safe.
Yes, Meera, because, you know, the point Tajender Luthra made about mindsets. You know, you're blaming the police as if the police is the only, in a sense, agency responsible for ensuring safety of women.
I think that is just the most convenient way of passing the buck. How on earth is a mindset related to implementation? It is one thing to say these won't stop, but that doesn't mean that your duties for implementation come to an end just because somebody has a mindset. That is just passing the buck.
But why just the police? The question is, why should the police be the sole agency responsible for securing a city? We've got, you know, whether it's a Mumbai, whether it's a Bangalore, whether it's a Chennai, you know, these are large cities that need various departments to come together. But somehow in the last month, the entire attention has been focused on police accountability.
Because I mean, I agree with you that this problem involves many layers. There's law and order, there's security, there's corruption, there's a lot of problems with.
It's a governance issue. At the end of the day, we are coming to a crisis of governance.
But at the end of the day, when there is a girl who is gang raped and thrown out of a bus, it does become, the law and order issue does take primacy. You can't run away from that fact. And it's one thing, I mean, it's fine to say, oh, in the last 1 month we've been doing this, that and the other. What were you doing for all the years before that? None of these orders on tinted glass or auto drivers or anything are new.
Tajender, Luthra, would that be fair to say that orders like the tinted glass order were not being implemented till this incident happened? Suddenly everyone's woken up and it reveals a crisis of governance. I think that's what Kiran Bedi also seems to suggest, that the larger question is a crisis of governance here.
No, not at all.
You don't agree?
Not at all. I do not agree what this.
There were tinted glasses, so let's be honest. Buses, there were cars and buses with tinted glasses.
I'm being very flourishing. Honest. I will give you an honest answer, and you can check it through RTI also.
Yes.
Till the last 16th of December, Delhi police had prosecuted 220,000 buses and other vehicles for tinted glasses. You must understand the enormity of the problem. That is the problem. In fact, there are 40 lakh vehicles, and there is another issue to tinted glasses. Supreme Court has ordered to remove tinted films, and then there are vehicles which have factory-made tinted glasses which are not films, and it is difficult to break them, and there is no order to break them.
My simple point, you're claiming that the crackdown took place earlier. Yes, Meera, you want to make a quick response?
I don't understand how you can evade responsibility and say, oh, 2,20,000 tinted buses were impounded or prosecuted, when the fact remains that in this very case, the only reason we got hold of this bus was because the police were maintaining a hafta diary.
Okay, that's corruption. We're coming back to corruption.
This is absolutely wrong allegation. This is absolutely wrong allegation.
It's an allegation which is now the subject of an inquiry. Let's be honest. It's an allegation which is the subject of an inquiry. There's a commission which has been inquired into, but we are coming back to the larger question of governance, Kiran Bedi. Whether it is tinted glasses, whether it is the auto menace, whether it is street lighting, all this requires governance. You said that it's time the Delhi Chief Minister met. It's time that they actually got down, as Vinay says, to the micro implementation. It's coming down to a crisis of governance. Do you believe that December 16 has not really changed anything when it comes to the larger issue of governance?
December 16th merited a surge. It merited a saturation. A surge and a saturation coming from all departments, whether it's the police or whether it's Delhi administration. What has happened is, I think only we've left it to Delhi police alone. I think that is what will not provide the surge and the saturation. Surge and saturation will come when the Delhi police chief, the chief minister and the lieutenant governor are in alignment for providing the security and safety of the city. And in that is the Department of Education, because even and then huge community mobilization of citizen wardens, special police officers, civil defense, NCC cadets to check one and all. I'm telling you, we could have cleared areas of months together. To clear areas, you need a major surge and saturation, which has not happened, and Delhi police alone will not be able to do. We have to have them, three of them aligned.
Mr. Luthra, you want to make a point that there seems to be a lack of alignment, is what Kiran Bedi is saying, that you need different departments working in tandem. That clearly is not happening, and not certainly with the kind of emergency and urgency perhaps that the situation warrants.
Mrs. Bedi's suggestions are very good. And I can tell you with due sense of responsibility, we are working with the civil defense volunteers. They are coming to our police stations. They are participating in our patrolling. We have formed special committees at the police station level in which we have taken on board NGOs, school principals and other people from all walks of life. And we are taking their suggestions and we are implementing them also. Maybe Mrs. Bedi was not aware of these steps that we have taken, but we are already doing this, and we are doing this with due intensity.
Vinay, you wanted to make a point. Yes.
Rajdeep, there are well-established studies across the world. Crime is not unique to Delhi. Crime happens everywhere in the world. Sometimes the rates are possibly higher than what you have in Delhi. But there are well-established studies in criminology across the world which have suggested things as small and as micro as road signages contribute to how much a victim can get targeted. Things as small as feeder services for inter-transport linkages. In Delhi, for instance, the metro has now been in place for the last 12 to 14 years, running in full steam. You still haven't been able to fix the simple issue of feeder services from a metro station to the point that you want to go to. There are dark stretches around metro stations. You don't have public transport which can take you from point A to point Z. After a particular hour at night, there is a sense of vulnerability which you will definitely have. The question is, these solutions are possible. They are part of your charter, they are there in plans, it's there on paper. Nobody thinks it's important to implement that.
Let me just ask the two young ladies here, but do you feel there's been an attitudinal change in men? Have you seen any real major change in the male psyche around you? Do you really sense a greater consciousness, yes or no?
There's a consciousness of the issue, Rajdeep. Yesterday as I was driving, somebody, it was a clear case of road rage. And the guy demanded that I apologize, and when I refused, he turns around and says, आजकल जब से ये रेप का सीन बन गया है, औरतें हवा में उड़ती रहती हैं, अगर देश में ये सीन नहीं बना होता तो दिखाता तुझे.
He said that to you?
He said that to me. Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. Has nothing changed in terms of attitudes of the Indian male?
It's quite interesting. We'd gone for a protest at the Central Park, and just as I was getting away from there, somebody comes and does the tries to molest me in some way, and it just came as a shock. I turned around like I wasn't expecting it there. I mean, not at the protest.
You're saying at a protest,
outside.
at a protest meeting itself.
Just come outside the protest.
Just come outside of the protest meeting. Kiran Bedi, in all the things that we do, How are we going to change the mindset of that Indian male? Forget our netas and their mindsets, but the mindset of the average person who you go with on a public transport, or who is a who's a road hog. How are we going to change their mindsets?
I think that's going to be a gradual process. It cannot be sudden. But as I told you, it has to be a very collective community search where all sections of society have to be involved. And that is why you need all the three in alignment to bring out everybody to be with the same wavelength. I think I went to a school this morning, and I asked the principal, I said, have you met as principal conclave? Should you not have met for teaching responsibility, for reaching responsibility to the boys and bravery to the girls? She says, that's a good idea. She just said, that's a good idea.
So
are you at the idea stage or at the implementation stage?
You're saying, therefore, we are still a long way away from actually translating ideas into implementation. Clearly, we are still a long way from solving the crisis of governance that perhaps needs to be addressed before we can make our streets safer. We'll keep tracking this story as part of our campaign, but for now, Tajender, Luthra, Kiran Bedi, and to my guests in the studio, I appreciate your joining us at the moment.
This is India at 9.